it's just exhausting being black, because every time you're trying to do your thing or just live your life, something racist or racial happens.
Let's talk about how constant microaggressions leads to stress. It leads to anxiety. It leads to emotional exhaustion. It is exhausting to constantly experience microaggressions and have to combat them. It is truly exhausting and draining.
I'm tired of people justifying their racism and hatred and diverting it to black people who, for the most part, mind their own business and positively contribute to society.
It is so funny to me when racist white people try to use black fatigue as an insult in my comments, when that term was created by a black woman.
Black fatigue, black fatigue, black fatigue. So you've seen the videos, you've seen the comment sections, people yelling it online, making content out of it, using it as a weapon. But here's the thing, most of those people can't tell you where it came from. And if they did, they'd have to admit that they've been using a black woman's words to attack black people. That's not irony, that's a system. And today, we're gonna break it down. Before we do, show the channel some love. Hit the sub, hit the like, hype this thing up, cue the clip.
This that Raymundo reacts, huh? Y'all came in for the laughs, huh? You did. Stay for the commentary cause it makes sense, huh? Real talk.
That boy is good. Well, I don't know about confusion. There's
Okay, good point.
co-opting, right?
Yes.
So Black Fatigue, the book Black Fatigue, How Racism Erodes the Mind, Body, and Spirit was conceived in 2019 and first published in 2020. And it was really listening to a lot of our clients. We were doing a lot of focus groups and a lot of listening sessions in 2020. And I kept hearing from Black employees, Black people, particularly younger ones, millennials and Gen Zs, we're tired, we're exhausted. And I would tease and I'd say, you're 25 years old. I can be exhausted. You can't be exhausted yet. And they would, but they would look at me with that side eye, like, okay, lady, I'm going to respect you, but I know that I'm fatigued. So I thought, what is this? And, Black fatigue is really the intergenerational malaise that Black people have that impacts us both psychologically and physiologically. And that's been proven, and we talk about that in the book, from living daily in a society that is, the foundation is actually racism. And so it impacts our daily walk and how we show up. We talk about things like code switching and all of those kinds of things. It's difficult to be authentic. So Black fatigue is the burden of living in a racist society.
Now that right there, that's the author. She coined the term back in 2020, Black fatigue. How racism erodes the mind, body, and spirit. She's not talking about being tired of going down to the DMV. She's describing an intergenerational exhaustion, physical, psychological, that comes from simply existing in a system, if you feel me.
So Black fatigue, man, we've all heard this term, coined by Mary Frances Winters in 2020. This is the extreme intergenerational, mental, physical, and emotional exhaustion Black people experience from dealing with constant, daily, systemic racism. It results in deep, lasting health issues, trauma, and frustration, compounded by the effort of communicating these experiences to often disbelieving white individuals. I came across this video of this Black child expressing his Black fatigue, bro, and it was heartbreaking.
Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Jefferson McClellan. My address is on file with the clerk, and I am an 8th grader at Gainesville Middle. Tonight I want to talk about a serious issue at my school. Monkey. The only game a white person can beat a black person at is hangman. These aren't jokes. These are misunderstandings. These are racial slurs said directly to me by other students.
Sorry to pause, bro, but I get messages on the daily of a lot of younger middle schoolers, high schoolers telling me that they tired of their white friends making racial jokes. You know what I'm saying? It's getting to them. And that is why I be telling y'all all that, letting your white friends say the N-word, letting any non-black person say the N-word around you, letting these racist jokes pass so often. It ends up to things like this.
I have reported this harassment before. Nothing seems to happen, and it keeps happening. Recently, after being told, shut up, I reacted. I hit another student for that. The school acted quickly. I was suspended for 3 days. I'm I'm not standing here saying what I did was right. I'm here asking why. Why, when racism is directed at me, the response is slow or silent. But when I react to it, the response is immediate and clear.
Like Malcolm X stated, bro, if I'm a sheep, is the sheep bad for letting the wolf eat him? No, he's going to do everything to not let that goddamn wolf eat him. So if he got to fight, he got to scratch, he got to claw to get his way up out of there, be violent, how is he wrong for that? Like I said, man, these people only see the reaction, never the beforehand. They're poking the bear, they're poking the bear, they're poking the bear. As soon as that bear reacts, then they want to record and take the picture and then blame you for how you respond.
I need y'all to sit with that for a second. That's a 13-year-old standing in front of a school board, not asking for special treatment, simply asking for what everybody else got, a safe place to learn. And when they gave him racial slurs and he finally reacted, guess who got suspended? Him. That's black fatigue. That's exactly what Mary Frances Winters wrote an entire book about. So here's where the disconnect really starts. Because somewhere between 2020 and today, this term, literally about black people being exhausted from racism, got flipped. Now, it supposedly means white people are exhausted from black people. I mean, I need y'all to help me process that, because I don't know where the audacity ends. But at the same time, I can't say that I'm surprised, because it ain't new. Watch this.
I define woke as a term of enlightenment. It, I think, reflects the fact that so many of us have been in a slumber when it comes to the realities of race, when it comes to the realities of the history of this country.
I have to be aware. I have to know my experience, especially as a black person in America. I cannot ignore any of this because this is my reality each and every day. We see this with our dances. We see this with our language. What starts off as ours quickly becomes appropriated.
See that? Our dances, our language, our pain, what starts off as ours quickly becomes appropriated. And here's the part that hits different.
Black Lives Matter became, anti-white sentiment that was banned in schools. It spawned All Lives Matter. Every time black people try to use a phrase or to coin something that symbolizes our desire for liberation, it will be made into something that is anti whatever the current sentiment is.
Every time black people try to use a phrase or coin something that symbolizes our desire for liberation, it will be made into something that's anti every single time. Black power, they call it communism. Black Lives Matter, they call it anti-white. Woke, they turned it into a punchline. And black fatigue, they made it the exact opposite of what the meaning truly was. But I digress. Like, this is the same plate, different generation, different word, same move. Now here's where my biggest issue is, because people are acting like this is organic, like regular people stumble into this interpretation. No. When you look at the pattern, and the pattern is clear, there's intent here, and here's the tell.
Would you mind defining woke? Because it's come up a couple times, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
This is going to be one of those moments that goes viral. I mean, woke is something that's very hard to define, and we've spent an entire chapter defining it. It is sort of the understanding that we need to totally reimagine and redo society in order to create hierarchies of oppression. Sorry, it's hard to explain in a 15-second soundbite.
Yeah, look, your time.
Bethany, no. That was just as embarrassing as you thought it was. For the last time, wokeness denotes a consciousness of the world around you. Think awake, not victimization or whatever it is you were trying to say. But this does show conservatives have so perverted the word that they can't even define it on their own terms. And I am loving it. Tell me more.
Can't define it. Literally fighting for a word that you can't explain. That's the whole point. See, here's where the math ain't mathing for me. If you can't define the thing you're fighting against, you're not fighting an idea, you're fighting a feeling. And that feeling is, I don't like what this conversation makes me responsible for.
If you can get people to believe that woke is bad, then you don't have to get them to demonize or to even think logically about the agenda that you're pushing against, right?
If you can get people to believe that woke is bad, then you don't have to get them to demonize or even think logically about the agenda you're pushing against. That's the blueprint right there. You don't need an argument. You just need numbers and volume. And this is the problem with the world. Low information people mistake the strength of a crowd for the strength of an idea. They yell loud and they think that they're making some kind of noise. But noise, it ain't truth. And I want to be specific here because this isn't as much about race as it is psychology. Low IQ individuals, and I'm not talking about intelligence scores. I'm talking about people who choose hate over critical thinking. They need to run with something. And when you hand them a phrase, when you redefine it for them, when you give them a movement to join, they'll run with it without ever asking where it came from or what it actually means. Numbers become their substitute for logic. But that's just my opinion. And here's where it goes from frustrating to actually concerning.
There was a chapter in the first book called Sublime Ignorance, because in 2020, after the George Floyd murder, many corporate leaders were sort of saying, oh, I didn't know that racism was still such a big issue. Okay, let's focus there. And they came out with all of these pronouncements and issued all of these statements that they were going to focus on anti-Black racism. And so that chapter really focused on, but they didn't know. So in that chapter in 2020, I wrote about, okay, so here's what to know. Here are definitions. Here are some experiences. Well, today, I changed that chapter and it's now called From Sublime Ignorance to Deliberate Erasure, because people are no longer saying that they're ignorant, that they didn't know. They're basically saying, well, we don't want to know. And so we're going to ban books and we're going to dismantle, DEI initiatives. We're not going to allow people to focus on racism, like the Fearless Fund, which was a fund dedicated, for Black women that was taken to court. And now they've, changed their focus. So it went from, oh, we don't know. And now that we know, we're going to work on it to, oh, we know, but we're just going to deny it. We're going to not only deny it, but we're going to weaponize it and demonize it and make it, a horrible bad thing.
She had to rename the chapter. She wrote Sublime Ignorance in 2020, meaning maybe people just didn't know. But by the second edition in 2026, she changed it to Deliberate Erasure because they know. Yes, they know, and they don't care. They're banning books. They're removing history from museums. They don't want you to have the vocabulary to describe what's happening to you, because if you can name it, you can organize around it, and organized people are dangerous to power. So when they tell you Black fatigue is being tired of Black people, they're not confused. They're trying to eliminate the meaning, like they took the word woke and like they'll try to take the next one too. The question isn't whether they're gonna keep doing it. They are. The question is, what are you gonna do when they do it?
It's just so ironic because even when we try to fit into society, go to school, do the right things, be a great citizen, it still doesn't matter. And if you not like these people, I need you to start checking your peers when they are.
Here's what it comes down to. You can't wait for them to stop misusing your language. You cannot count on them correcting themselves. You can't wait for a savior, political, social, or otherwise, to come down and fix the vocabulary they're actively trying to destroy. The savior was always yourself. Always. Everyone goes through something different. Some journeys have more trauma than others, but it's our responsibility, our individual responsibility, to be the change we want to see by being the reflection we want to see. Not the crowd, not the numbers, not the algorithm, you.
So what is the opposite of woke? It's to be asleep, right? So I would suggest people wake up, be woke, be woke, be woke to what is happening, how people are suffering, and recognize that, as Dr. Martin Luther King said, what affects one of us directly affects all of us indirectly.
What's the opposite of woke? To be sleep. I would suggest people wake up, be woke. Real talk, they're fighting so hard against consciousness, against awareness, because an awake people can't be controlled. And the people who know where their words come from cannot have those words used against them. So do you think the language theft is accidental or intentional? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, if you want to stay locked in, hit that sub button to the right and to the left. More dope content, and I'm out.
This that Raymundo reacts, huh? Y'all came in for the laughs, huh? You did. Stay for the commentary, cause it makes sense, huh? Real talk.
That boy is good.